Hi there, folks. I'm Matt from the Green Building Learning Zone.
Hey, this is Bettina from the Green Building Learning Zone. We are so sorry that we missed you guys at the Green Living Show, but we thought we'd take you through a video that we have made of our Green Building Learning Zone slideshow.
This is kind of covers what we are, who we are, why we do what we do, and show some examples of the kind of work we do. And to see a lot more, including videos of presentations, just go to our website at greenbuildinglearningzone.org.
Brilliant. So hey, Matt, what is the Green Building Learning Zone?
We're a group of folks that care a lot about green building, and that's everything from architects and designers and builders and nonprofits. And we wanted to get together and help educate the public about what a real green building is and a little bit about what it isn't.
Awesome. Yeah, you know what? It's interesting because this is a group of people where we actually have companies that are competing with one another or that have collaborated together. We come from all different sizes and shapes and different places, but we do have a couple of things that we agree upon. And so we set sort of a vision statement, and this is what our vision is. We want buildings to be affordable, both to buy and to build. We want them to be energy efficient, extremely energy efficient if possible. We do think that materials that have a low embodied carbon and minimizing waste are key when we're talking about a sustainable building. We want them to be healthy, comfortable, and promote well-being of occupants. And of course, resilient, beautiful, accessible, and connected to community.
Aspirational goals, but we got to work for it. So these are the people, we won't go through them all, but these are the folks that are the partners, the members of the Green Building Learning Zone. And then of course we have our sponsors.
And if you go to our website, you can click to each and every one of our members and our sponsors and get more information about all of those. So these are our sponsors. Big shout out to these sponsors, many of whom, despite the fact that the Green Living Show wasn't happening because of the COVID situation, but these people have all still agreed very kindly to support us. So please support our sponsors and in turn support us in our education initiative.
So we're not going to read all of our slides. We're just going to talk a little bit about why we do and what we're doing. And one is that people don't think about buildings a lot around green building, around sort of climate change and the climate crisis. People talk about electric cars. They talk about solar panels. They talk about the transportation industry, food industry, but they don't talk a lot about buildings. And buildings are very important, part of the problem and part of the solution.
That's exactly right, Matt. And the reason we talk about carbon is because GHGs are causing our atmosphere to have extreme damage. If you look at what we call the hockey stick, right? If you look at the lower part here in the 1950s, we were producing this much, woo, technical issue while Bettina learns how to use the system here. So here we were in the 1950s, we were only doing 300 parts per million CO2. And here we are now. It's been an absolute vertical drive. It's crazy. We need to do something about it. I don't think we need to convince any of you about that.
So these numbers are borne out in Toronto. This is where the Green Living Show is held, and so we're showing some Toronto numbers. Moving on.
And this is what climate change is doing to us. Climate change affects the weather. So whereas, our highest average temperature in the summer used to get up to 37, now we're looking in the next decade or so of getting up to 44 degrees Celsius, like it is in Dubai, crazy hot. Where we used to have half a day of an extended heat wave, half an incident per year of an extended heat wave. We're going to be looking at 2.5 times per year of having extended heat waves, which is just dangerous for people at risk and the elderly.
So part of our thing is just that green living should happen in green buildings. And we talk a lot more about this in the presentations that are going to be on our website. From a practical perspective, what does this actually mean? But we'll talk about it a little bit here.
Yep. So why would you want to build green? Well, it brings a lot of benefits to you. You benefit from energy efficiency, from water efficiency. You're going to improve your air quality, improve the health and well-being, increase the value of your building, and increase your resilience. That's a point that's so important. As climate change is making our weather more and more extreme, we need to be able to shelter in place, and a green building is a resilient building.
So what goes down is your energy costs go down, your operating costs go down. The building holds its depreciation longer, so the building depreciation rate goes down. Greenhouse gas emissions go down. The upfront energy, the upfront embodied carbon goes down, and illness goes down because you're using natural healthy materials that are not combining a toxic soup that is unique to your building, and every other building has its own special little toxic soup and materials they use. And so we eliminate those problems, we bring up some good things.
That's right. Chicken soup, not toxic soup. All right, this is the energy hierarchy. This is a really important chart, and I guess to explain it, the best way is to say, how do you get the biggest bang for your buck when building new or renovating a building? And so often when we talk about green building, we hear people saying, oh yeah, I've looked at solar panels, or I've looked at, adding a new furnace, or, sort of a one-shot fit. But really, doing a green building has a lot of elements, and there's no one Band-Aid that can fix it. But when you want to look at what your biggest bang for your buck is, where you can have the highest impact at the lowest cost, it's your building envelope. What is your building envelope, Matt?
Well, people can learn about that in our talks, but essentially we're talking about just we're doing efficient buildings. We'll put a bit of a sweater around the house. We'll wrap the house, make it airtight but vapor permeable. It allows you to better control heat and moisture and cooling.
Exactly.
Again, we won't get in the nitty gritty today, but plenty of information on the site.
Exactly. So, building envelope, very simply, are your floors, your slabs, your walls, your roof, everything that surrounds the building itself. So the more you spend on your building envelope, and that's actually, I know it sounds strange, but that's your biggest bang for your buck. The more you spend on getting your walls and your windows and your roof and your slab better, the higher the impact will be and the lower the cost will be. The next thing is right size mechanicals. So often, there's the old adage, I don't know if you've ever seen, had air conditioning come, but somebody to fit in air conditioning at your home, and they sort of do this out in the street, and they say, oh yeah, well, based on the size of your building, you're going to need a 2-ton unit or a 3-ton unit. Well, that's ridiculous. There are many, much more sophisticated ways to determine how your mechanical system, how big your mechanical system should be. And the better your building envelope is, the smaller sometimes and often your mechanical systems can be, and the more efficient they can be. So you actually save money by having smaller mechanical systems in a better built house. The next bit is reusing energy. It's something we don't think about, but this is actually more important than putting on solar panels and creating your own energy, is reusing the energy that's already happening in your house. So when you're heating your indoor air using some sort of a mechanical system, that heated air has energy in it. And there are things that can grab that energy from the heated air, things called HRVs or ERVs, and they can reuse that energy to already preheat the cold air coming in from outside in the winter, or vice versa in the summer. You can also reuse the energy that comes from your heated water. So when you take a shower, all of that warm water that you're paying to heat and that's coming into your house, well, it just runs down the drain. But if you have something like a drain water heat recovery, that will take that hot water that has run off your body and has come nice and fresh and hot out of the system and capture that energy and use that to preheat the cold water that's going into your water heater. So by reusing already used energy in your home, which really is cost effective and has a high impact on the energy that you use, you can save a lot of money. And then the last tiny little part of this triangle, which is the most expensive and least effective part of having a green building, is renewable energy. So your solar water, your solar thermal, etc. So those are all great and amazing ways of creating energy that, are carbon positive, often methods of creating energy. Petroleum is the sun's energy just stored in the earth, and getting energy from the sun itself today is great, but it still is a very expensive process and not necessarily an efficient process yet. So that's why that's sort of the last part of your planning strategies when you're talking about green buildings.
What we tell people is that conservation is the cheapest form of energy.
Yeah.
So this is a big theme for us: embodied carbon, what some people call upfront carbon. embodied energy, the sort of work that goes into producing, for example, the materials in your home. And they don't just come and show up on your door as some sort of magical creature. Extract the raw materials, you transport them, they're manufactured, you build them. So a lot of energy goes into building those things. So if you're trying to build an energy efficient building, but you put a bunch of carbon, spend a bunch of carbon to build it, then you're at a bit of a deficit. We talk a lot about this, and there's some great presentations available, particularly the two from Chris Magwood.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. You want to watch the embodied carbon presentations that Chris Magwood is going to be uploading on our website, greenbuildinglearningzone.org. And we look forward to having you look at those. So the materials that we build with matter, and they have an impact on people and the planet. This is sort of a no-duh slide, but you know, if we're building with materials that are made from the earth, that are natural materials, then we limit the impact. If the more material is processed, and depending on what it's made of, it has a huge impact on our building. And we used to build with the things around us, you know, your stones and bricks that were made from the clay and the earth, and wood that was felled from the trees that we have. And now you look at the materials that we're building from, they're all man-made, and there's a lot of embodied carbon in those. Matt, do you mind if I do this one? Because I'm actually going to be doing a video on this, so I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. But integrated design, if you don't know about it, please come see my video on it later on our YouTube channel or on our website. But the idea is people all bring something to the table. And often when we're doing a home renovation or a new build, we look to the builder or we look to the architect and we think, well, they are the expert and they know everything that there is to know. But the thing is, other people also have huge amounts of knowledge, including you, the customer. You are really important in the process of deciding how to renovate or how to build. And so are mechanical people, and so are window people, and so are material suppliers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of these people, really, the earlier you bring them into your project, the better your project will be and the lower cost your project will be.
So our friends at the Healthy Building Network talk about the chemicals in building materials and how they have an impact on our health and our well-being. There's a lot of stuff that goes into build, a lot of foams, a lot of chemicals that aren't necessarily tested to be together, or they off-gas, that new house smell. When they catch fire, we know there's a lot of toxicity that happens. So one thing we're saying to people is that there are alternatives. There are alternatives of great materials. Maybe we can go to the next slide. Materials that are highly effective, they're renewable, they're low embodied carbon, and they don't have all these nasty red list chemicals. And that's often because they appear in nature. Examples would be, next slide, earth, clay, fungus. There's a lot of people are making very neat stuff with mycelium right now.
Oh yeah, they're growing insulation.
Growing insulation, growing simple pieces of furniture. Hemp, of course, a lot of more hemp is hitting the market. Straw bale works. Wood can be a very renewable resource. Sheep's wool insulation, rammed earth, stone is making a comeback. So these are, as Chris Magwood points out, you don't need some new nanotechnology to store carbon. They're called plants.
That's
and
right.
We can do a lot with those.
Yep. And of course, what we're going to show you now are just a couple of slides from some of our people that are on our team. And there's a lot more on our website, www.greenbuildinglearningzone.org. But in the meantime, we're just going to show you a couple of really nice slides. This is a Collingwood retrofit. Some of the materials were provided by our member and sponsor 475.
So these are membranes, exterior membranes. So these are helping to control water and air flow, controlling the moisture.
Yep, this is the Living Building Challenge House. It was one of our members, Sustainable Development Club. They did the energy modeling and optimization of this. If you don't know about Living Building Challenge, highly recommend that you Google that and learn about it. It's pretty darn cool.
Zoom Aerocura, it's a rammed earth building. They specialize in rammed earth. So there's a lot of compacted earth and there's a bit of insulation in the middle and some stabilization. that happens, but producing absolutely gorgeous buildings, again, using primarily earth as the wall foundation.
Yep, and Sylvia Cook from Aracura is also going to be doing a presentation on rammed earth. It's a beautiful talk. Make sure you catch that. So we have several architects on our team. One of them is Agritecture Ontario. So this is one of their beautiful projects. You know, a lot of people think green building has to be ugly, and it certainly isn't. This is a beautiful example of how intriguing and gorgeous a green building can be.
Yeah, this is from Endeavor Center. Again, we were mentioning Chris Magwood. This is what they call their zero house. So it balanced out in terms of embodied carbon plus the energy they're using. They use no toxic materials. They process all the waste, and they used a prefabrication model. They're actually able to put it up and take it down, before it was sold. So it's a real sort of cutting edge example of a building that's where we can be going.
Amazing. You want to talk about this one? Because this was you guys.
Sure. This is from the company I'm with called The Fourth Pig. We took an old leaky 50s cottage in Muskoka, wrapped the outside of it in straw bale. This is the high performance windows you can see, and then the sort of pine interior. So it's super comfortable. Those are straw bale walls you're looking at. Just a nice use of wood and natural light and just healthy, comfortable, renewable materials.
Gorgeous. This is from Greening Homes. Disclaimer, they actually did my renovation as well on my home. I can't say enough good things about them, although there are lots of great builders that we have. But this is just a picture of, again, just showing how it doesn't have to be so-called green design. You can do pretty much anything and still make a building sustainable, healthy, beautiful, and sustainable.
Simple Life Homes, they make prefabricated wall assembly. So this is an example of a prefabricated wall assembly. So done in a factory and then brought on site and assembled on site. So you're less weather dependent. You can control for quality. You can make sure your air barriers are tight, all within a little factory. So prefabrication is increasing.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'll just say prefabrication is increasing in general. So yep. Simple Life is one of our prefab partners.
Yep, and it's not your grandma's prefab house anymore.
This is from Stone's Throw Design, the architect working with the Fourth Pig. So this is another straw bale renovation in the city of Toronto. This is just one of the rooms that was on the second floor, and that's using some lime plaster and reuse of the original radiator.
Yeah, so it's amazing. You can use straw bale in the city. No, totally possible. Yeah, so Matt, this is the end of the presentation. Why are we here? Because it's important. It's important that people understand how important having a green building is. We have to build better. We have to build better,
and we have to go back and look at our existing stock, and we have to upgrade those. If we don't, we're not going to meet our climate change challenges. We're not going to meet our goals. And then, we have overflowing landfills. We need better housing. We just can't build cheap housing. We have to do it right. And then we won't have to keep doing it again every 10, 15 years.
That's right. So thanks very much for listening.
Better, we can build better.
Go ahead.
greenbuildinglearningszone.org.
That's it. Come visit us. We look forward to seeing you, and we'll be back next year, Green Living Show. In the meantime, if you have any questions, reach out. We're here. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.
Bye.